Too short to live the same year twice. Too precious not to go after your dreams and live the life that you want. So the question is, what are you going to do about it?
Oh my gosh, welcome to the first ever live session of the She Means Business Show. I am so excited about it. In this first session, we are going to be diving deep, talking all things membership sites, which I am so excited about. And our very first guest on the She Means Business Show live is the amazing Stu McLaren. He is such an incredible human being. He's an amazing friend of mine. He's helped me so much with building my membership site. He is the creator of the membership experience. He's the co-founder of Searchy. Him and his wife, Amy, created a charity a long time ago called Village Impact, where they build schools in Kenya. He's just an amazing person. Stu, thank you so much for joining me for this episode.
Buddy, I am honored to be here on the first show. This is amazing.
I know, the first live show. So I was going to explain to everyone what's going to happen. So for those of you here that already listened to the She Means Business Show, I'm so happy that you're here for this live version, for the very first live version. If you don't know about the She Means Business Show, it's the podcast that I host. It goes out every single Tuesday. It has done for a long, long time now. And it's all about sharing things that will help you to build a wildly successful online business. That goes out on a Tuesday, like I said, and it's on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, everywhere. So go and subscribe on that, but also get on our email list so you can be notified of the next She Means Business Live. So the live sessions are going to be, like this. We can all get together. You can be part of a conversation. It's fun. You're here with the amazing guests. So it's a chance for you to come get your questions answered live. And then this will be repurposed and will be put out onto the podcast as well. So you can go and check it out afterwards on there as well. So I'm very excited about this. I'm very excited about all the live podcast episodes I'm going to do. But Stu, I'm so excited because talking about memberships is one of my favorite topics. It's probably I get asked so many questions around how to build membership sites. I think it's something that so many people want to do. Obviously, I started my membership site back in 2013, which is crazy. It is 10 years this year, which
10 years, Carrie. Can we just take a moment? I think we just, as an audience, we just need to take a moment and acknowledge Carrie, because these are not only this is her 10th year with her membership, but these are 10 internet years, which is really 30 or 40 regular years. And that is a huge milestone, buddy. Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is incredible. And some really big changes happening this year, which I'm so excited about. But obviously, so I actually first came across Stu back in the beginning of 2015. At that point, my membership had 1,000 members, and I was really looking at how do I make this easier? Because I was doing literally everything myself that first year. I was the marketer, the content creator, the video editor, the customer support person. I was the everything. And I remember thinking there has to be a better way to do this. And I remember someone telling me about you and reaching out to you. Hang on, I think there's a bit of feedback. I don't know. Hang on, maybe I'll move my mic back. And I remember reaching out to you and I think you were busy doing a launch, and I kept emailing, and eventually I got a reply back, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then obviously flew to Canada, had a day with you, and then you helped me to go from 1,000 members to 3,000 members in less than a year. I remember you taught me how to launch online. And in the first launch that I did I think it was the June of 2015, we welcomed over 1,200 members in the space of 7 days. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is insane. So it was so incredible. The things that you've taught me over the years that have helped me to scale my own membership site and realizing what is possible. And you've obviously worked with thousands and thousands of people. Before we kind of dive in, I want to share, can you share what are the possibilities with this? What is possible? And I think some of the biggest questions that people have is, can I really do this if I don't have an audience? people nervous that it's going to be so consuming that they won't be able to like keep going with it. So like, what do you see and what is possible? Like, can you share some amazing examples of what's possible?
Well, okay, first off, I just want to take a moment and let's just talk about like that, commitment that you have to yourself and to your membership. Because, a lot of times, like when you and I first met, you had, without knowing anything about memberships, had got a membership site off the ground just because you were passionate about bringing other women together. You were obviously an entrepreneur yourself. And I remember when we met, I said to you, I said, why did you create this? And you're like, I just wanted to create a place where other female entrepreneurs could gather and chat and help each other, because that's what I wanted and needed when I was doing it. So you just did it out of pure passion, and you had grown it to 1,000+ members, which is amazing. But this is one of the reasons why, Carrie, you have had success over such a long period of time. And that is because you just continue to, invest in yourself and in your growth. And, I loved reading your book because that was evident all throughout your book. And it's evident, in your early days, it's evident now, and it continues. And so I just think that it's really important to point out the fact that, you weren't settling for where you were. You knew there was so much more potential. And yeah, like a few little tweaks, like I know you're giving me credit, but let's just be honest. Like you're the one that had to make the tweaks. You're the one that had to do the push-ups, so to speak, and you did them. But that's all it takes many times. It's just a little few tweaks that can make a huge difference. And I think at the end of the day, when we're thinking about membership sites, what I want everybody to remember is that it's like a compounding asset in your business. The old way of doing business is hoping that clients and customers are going to come back month after month. It's like we work so hard with a promotion or a campaign to be able to make sales, which is great in the moment. And then the next month comes up and it's that, oh crap moment, because it's like, well, what do I got? How am I going to generate sales this month? Well, we're going to have to do another campaign, another promotion. But with a membership site, we don't have to do that. We can build on the momentum of the month before. And you asked the question about like what's possible. And I've got so many stories I can share with you of people in our community in all kinds of different markets, from photography and calligraphy to fitness and finance and music and art and health and dog training. Heck, we even have Holly George, who has a membership site teaching people how to make balloon animals, for crying out loud. And she's got thousands of members. Her membership's called The Twist. Not everybody starts with, a gigantic audience. And there's this myth and this conception that we've got to have this huge audience in order to build a membership. And it's just not true. Like I think of Jennifer Chamberlain as a great example. These are her words. She was a 50-something grandma who never in her wildest dreams thought she would be an entrepreneur. That's not why she started a membership. She started a membership because she was passionate about art, and she was passionate about sharing art with other women her age. And so when she first came into our community, she hadn't been building like an audience that was specific to, launching this membership site. But she had, friends and family and colleagues and so forth that she was connected to on Facebook. And so anyway, when she did her founding member launch, she didn't welcome thousands of members. She welcomed 20 founding members. Now, I know that there are some people in the audience who are thinking, for 20 founding members. But let me just put this into perspective. I don't know what everybody's bills are right now, but you take 20 founding members, let's say it's $30 a month. That's $600 a month that now is being generated on a recurring basis. And that's the start. And it builds and it builds and it builds. And that was the case for Jennifer. She started with 20. By the end of the year, she had grown to 100. By the end of year 2, she had grown to 200. And now this 50-something grandma who, had no intention of starting a business was starting to get real business savvy. And that's when she started to, pour into growing her Facebook audience and growing with Facebook ads and so forth. And in that third year, she went from 200 members to more than 2,000 members. So here she was 3 years later with a multi-million-dollar membership in a subject matter that she was passionate about, which is teaching other women art. But rewind, it all started with 20 founding members. And just like investing, for retirement, we don't just all of a sudden invest, hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars for our retirement like that. No. We start by little increments that we deposit, but over time they compound and they add up to that retirement amount. It's the same with a membership. We start small, over time we build and it compounds, and that's when it blossoms into a beautiful business. So I just get real passionate about this, Carrie, because in a time when there's so much uncertainty, it creates even more need, in my opinion, for every entrepreneur, no matter what type of business you have, to have some type of recurring revenue, because the recurring revenue creates the certainty. It creates stability in our businesses, and that's what alleviates so much stress. So I'm passionate about this in so many ways.
Firstly, that story is absolutely incredible. And secondly, I couldn't agree more with you about the recurring revenue piece, because it 100% does create that security. When you know what's coming in every month and you know that you can grow that, it's amazing. But I remember when I had my son, Casey, I took like 8 months off work or something, and we had the recurring revenue there. And it was just, if I was relying on like making sales, I don't know where I would have been at. Like I would have been under so much more pressure. So the fact that I had that recurring revenue was such a game changer. So I know there's lots of you joining us live. I would love to know in the chat, like where you are at with your membership site. Do you have a membership? Are you thinking about starting a membership site? Let us know. Also, if you have questions throughout this, post in the chat. We have the team here who are here to support and pick up any questions that you have. So we'll definitely get to them. We also have some amazing people here who are joining as panelists. So I'm going to be bringing those on to ask their questions, which is very exciting. I see this. Sharon said on the verge of launching it. How exciting. Danielle, you said thinking of starting. Chloe, I don't have a membership site at all, but think it would be smart where I'm going. Looking for software solutions, thinking about starting membership. I love it. So lots of you thinking about starting. Passive income is the way forward. Yes, it definitely is. Yeah, that's so amazing. So I have a question that I wanted to ask you, and this is actually, it's not my question. Someone, one of our members submitted this called Karen, and I thought it was a really great question. I thought it would be good to like really kick things off. I mean, I don't know what kind of rabbit holes we're going to go down with this question, if I'm being honest, but this is the question. She said, I'd love to know what he would do differently if he were to start from scratch now, but with all the knowledge he has. So Stu, what would you do now if you're starting a membership from scratch with all the knowledge you have? What would you do? Like, I know that's such a huge open-ended question, but like it was a pretty cool one.
It is good. And people are probably going to be underwhelmed by my response because I'm a very simple guy. Like, and what I mean by that is I stick to fundamentals. It's the reason why, I have had an online business since 2004. Like I just stick to the fundamentals, because at the end of the day, there are always going to be fancy bells and whistles and doohickeys and new platforms and this and that and all the things. But success online, and especially with a membership, boils down to 3 key pillars. This is all you need to remember to be successful with membership. Number 1 is traffic. We have to get what we have in front of the right audience. So if you and I were sitting down and we were starting from scratch, the first question that I would ask is, what and where will your traffic be coming from? Like, what will be your sources of traffic? How are you going to get in front of the audience that you want to serve? And so for me, if I was starting out, first thing I'm trying to identify is like, who is already in front of the audience I want to serve. Because one of the fastest ways to be able to grow our audience is to identify where they're already hanging out and look for an opportunity to be of service. So I'll give you a simple example. So last year, my wife, Amy, was actually considering starting a new membership site. Ultimately, she didn't because we've hit some big milestones with our charity. So she's been pouring a lot of energy there. But the point of the matter is she was considering starting a membership site. And the area that she was thinking about was an area that neither of us have an audience. So the 3 years ago, she started a luxury Airbnb, which you can find if you go on Instagram and just search Dover Lake House. You'll see the Instagram handle. Anyway, she gets a lot of questions from people who are interested in starting their own luxury Airbnb because Amy has had tremendous success with it right from the get-go. She gets 5-star reviews. She's like one of the, Airbnb recommended hosts. She gets reviews. She gets referrals. She's always booked. And so people are asking her questions about this. So when we were in discussion, she said, well, how would I begin? So I gave her the same advice I'm giving you. Number one, first and foremost, we've got to start generating traffic. We've got to start building our audience. So what I did was I went onto Facebook and I just did a simple search. And I looked for Airbnb groups or what do you call them? Sugar. I forget that there's another term that, short-term rentals. That's it. Short-term rentals. So I was doing like Airbnb searches, short-term rental searches, and I find all these groups. Then I go into these groups, Carrie, and I literally just did a quick scan and I could see almost the same questions coming up over and over and over again. People were asking questions like, should I have white linens or should I have dark linens? What about towels? Where do I get the towels? What about for kids' beds? And what kind of sheets should I have? So there are all these questions about sheets and towels and linens and all these things. So I said to Amy, I said, what do you do? And she's like, oh, well, that's simple. Like there's these certain types of sheets that I get, and I always, there's always, got to be this thread count, and they got to be made this way and that way, and that's what makes the bed so comfortable. And she was just passing it off like she just, like everybody knew this. And I said, well, that would kind of make a great like mini training that you could offer like in these groups. Like I'm not talking like an hour-long training, like maybe a 10, 15-minute training. So if she were to approach those group owners and just said, hey, listen, I can see this common question is coming up in your group. Do you want me to just do like a mini training and show people how to, find the right sheets and towels and linens and so forth? Because they can make all the difference in helping them get 5-star reviews. Here's an example, because she actually had a review that spoke to the sheets and the towels and the stuff. And so she had social proof. And so that would have been an easy way for her to be able to get in front of this audience. And now when she's sharing that free mini training, she could just then at the end say, if you're interested in like more tips and tricks, just go to boom. And she would send them to her list builder. So the first pillar of all is we got to focus on getting in front of the audience. And my go-to, if I'm starting out, is I'm going to identify who's already in front of that audience and how can I be of value to them and their audience. So that's the first thing I would do, Carrie. You want me to go on from there, or you want to chat about it?
Yeah, no, I do love that. And I also feel like it doesn't have to be as hard or as scary as I think sometimes we make it in our heads. It's just kind of one of those things where I just think you just have to get going with it and just do it. Like I hosted a challenge recently and one of my brothers took part in it, and he decided during it that he wanted to set this like space up for dads. And so he ended up creating this Facebook group, and he got like, by the end of the challenge, which was like literally a couple of days, he had something like, 30 or 50 people in his Facebook group, and these strangers. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then they'd put some stuff on Etsy and they'd made sales from strangers. And I was like, this is what's possible. Like, it's not thousands and thousands. And yeah, maybe then you hit a bit of a slump and you've got to kind of get creative again, and you've got to kind of start, but it's doable. Like every single person can build an audience, like one person at a time. It's like one person in the next, and I just think I don't know, we either want it to happen so fast and then we feel like we're failing when it's not happening as fast as we want it to. And we just lose sight of it's just like tiny, tiny, tiny little steps.
You make a great point, Carrie, because I think like too often we just don't hold space for what could happen in just getting going. You know what I mean? Like, here's an example. Okay. So this is a picture of me in 2004. I had just landed at the LAX airport, and Amy, who was my girlfriend then, now wife, we were helping our mentor host an event. And I said to her, I'm like, we got to get up to the hotel room because I got to check my stats. Like there was going to be some like massive windfall of sales come through on that flight. Anyways, so we get up there, and this was a picture of me making my very first sale. It was $7.95, and it was for a stupid little ebook called Ideas for Halloween. Now, did I think that I was going to become the world's foremost expert on Halloween just because of this ebook? No. But here's the thing. That sale, that $7.95 sale, it created a belief in me that it was possible. Now, did the metrics pan out? Because I remember the awkward conversation. Like, I was so excited, Carrie. And I said to Amy, I'm like, you got to take a picture of this moment. Like, one day I'm going to be on the cover of Inc. magazine, and it's going to come back to this moment. And she's like, okay. So she's excited. She takes the picture, and I'll never forget, in all her wisdom, she says, okay, Stu, this is amazing. But how much money have you spent on the ads to make that $7.95 sale? And I paused for a moment, and I was like, I could feel the wave of embarrassment come over me because I was like, well, it's about $800. And she said, sorry, sorry, what did you say there? I said, I've spent about $800. And she's like, okay, I'm not the business major, but you spent $800 and you've made $7.95. I said, yes, but now I've proved that it's possible. And now it's just a tweaking process. And I remember so vividly, like in that moment, I was just like filled with belief. And that belief is so incredibly powerful because, Carrie, I've now gone on to generate tens of millions of dollars. And we've gone on to generate, we crossed the $10 million milestone for our charity this year.
Wow.
And,
that's amazing.
And I share this because like none of that is possible if you don't have that belief of what is possible. And you get the belief by getting out of your own way and just starting to take action. Go move forward without, expectation, and move forward holding space for possibility. And you may start off with a $7.95, Halloween ebook, not knowing where that might lead to. I didn't know it would lead to, the career that I've eventually got now, but it was the beginning of that snowball. And to your point, like, you just got to get started. So I love the story of your brother. 30 to 50 people that he had no idea about. He's already made his first sale just from a simple challenge because he just committed to like moving forward and making it happen. Yeah. That is amazing.
Yeah. And that's the biggest thing I said. This is not the be all end all. It's just a tiny little breadcrumb on the journey. Like, so don't put so much pressure on yourself to have this all figured out or for this to be the perfect thing. Like, just go with it because you just don't know where it's going to take you. Like, exactly.
So like when I go back to like Karen's question, like that's where I start. Like I always want to start with who am I serving and what problem am I helping solve? And the more specific the who and the more specific the problem, the easier it is for you to be able to get in front of the right audience to begin attracting them, because people want specific problems solved. Now, does that mean that you're always going to be pigeonholed in solving that one specific problem until the end of time? No, not at all. But it is a way faster path to being able to build that momentum. And so for me, the very first step, if I were to start over, is I'm going to identify a specific audience I'm going to identify a specific problem, and I'm going to look for people that I can, who are already in front of that audience that I can serve. And that's going to help me now begin building my audience. And then very quickly, I'm not going to wait until I've got tens of thousands or thousands of people. As soon as I cross like 100 or 200 people in my audience, whether that's following me on Instagram or on Facebook, like your brother's almost there. Like he could definitely get close to probably doing a founding member launch. And that's the very next step that I would do, because so many people think that it's not worth launching a membership until you've got hundreds. That is not true, because you and I both know, Carrie, that a membership is going to change so quickly, and it changes based on the needs of your members. So you can, the perfectionist in us is going to want to plan everything out and have it all, lined up for a whole year before we bring people in. But the truth of the matter is that you are guessing what your people want. And the only way to know is to start working with real people. And what you'll find is when you do that, you'll quickly see that their needs are going to be totally different than what you may anticipate. And that gives you an opportunity to really dial in the membership and help your people get results fast. And when that happens, that's when the membership really begins to take off.
Yeah, so true. I love that. So, okay. So you said there were 3 things. You said the first one. What were the second 2?
So first one is traffic. Second one is conversion. So this basically means like you need some way to take the interest that people have in you and your subject matter and then offer them something. You got to offer them something. So this is why I was just previously talking about very quickly moving to a founding member launch. And so this is a whole process that, we teach. It's super simple. You don't need to have your membership all planned out. In fact, I recommend that you don't have it all planned out. The goal is to cast a vision and to invite people to join you as a founding member. And in exchange, they get a huge discount and benefits. And they also get to help shape what that membership is going to become. But that second piece is the conversion. You've got to have an offer to convert, provide your people. And you've got to have some kind of a mechanism or a campaign or a promotion to convert people who are interested into becoming paying clients or members. So there's a lot of mental junk, so to speak, that prevents people from making an offer. And between us girls, it's almost always just fear. Fear that I'm going to put it out there and nobody's going to say yes to it. And then how embarrassing is that going to be? And so I'll just, subconsciously, we just don't put anything out there because we avoid the embarrassment. But here's a little shift from a mindset standpoint that I want everybody to think about. And I actually learned this from a friend of mine, Ryan. And it's instead of like putting this pressure that things have 100% got to pan out or, we suck or we're no good. It's just to think of every offer that we make or every promotion as an experiment. So there's no pressure. It's an experiment. Like if it works, amazing. If it doesn't, no problem. We learn from that. And it reminds me in my son's bedroom on the wall, we have this huge quote from the great Nelson Mandela. And it says, "I never lose. I either win or I learn. I never lose. I either win or I learn." And why I love that quote so much is that if we think of all of our marketing and the offers that we make as just experiments, we don't lose if nobody buys because we learn so much in that process. And when I think about people who spend all this time, energy, and effort to create all their content for their membership and do all this stuff before they launch it, I'm like, why? Because when you put it out there, if you find out that people don't want it, you've just spent all this time, energy, and effort doing something that nobody wants. So put the offer out there and see if people want it. And then when they do, now you can create it. But if they don't, you haven't lost all that time, but you've learned, what isn't resonating with your audience, and we can tweak that ahead of time. So when it comes to conversion, that's the second piece. We got to have an offer and we've got to put it out there. And my encouragement to everybody is do that way before you think you need to, because you're going to learn so much in that process.
Yeah, I think that's so good. And I remember when I launched my membership site, because force myself to do it because I'd been putting it off. And I just did it with like one piece of content. I didn't have a clue what was really going to come next. Nothing was planned out beyond that 1 month, and just like went for it because otherwise it was too overwhelming. And I was just going to keep putting off. And you're so right. Like as you get going, you spot the things that you need to actually be creating based on what members are actually asking for and saying. So yeah, I love it. And you don't have to then like, do all this work up front.
Yeah. And I think like, with that, you're, to your point, like you are learning so much from your members, and thank you. And that's going to help shape the direction of the membership, right? So there's just so much value in just getting going and getting out of our own way and trying to learn as much as quickly as possible from real people who we're working with.
Yeah.
So back to Karen. Number 1 is traffic. Number 2 is conversion. And then number 3, you know this, I know this because we've had membership sites for decades, but retention is the other pillar. And at the end of the day, here's what that means. It means you and I in a membership get paid for keeping people happy. Meaning if they're happy, they're going to continue to pay. If they're unhappy for any reason, they're going to leave. So your job, my job, depends on our ability to keep people happy. And let me give you a little insight into this. The number 1 way to keep people happy is to help them experience progress toward the outcome that they're looking for. So at the end of the day, all you and I have to do is obsess. How do we help our people go from where they are to where they want to be? And how can we break that process down so that they can see the progress that they're experiencing? So for example, like if I had a membership that was teaching people weight loss, like people aren't going to go from being overweight to their perfect weight like that. It's a journey. But how do we reflect back to people the progress that they are experiencing during that time so that they can feel momentum, so that they can feel the progress that they're experiencing? And it doesn't matter what market, whether it's playing guitar. We're not going to go from not playing the guitar to becoming the next Eric Clapton like that. Like there is a journey to that process, right? And so we want to be able to show people the progress they're experiencing, reflect back to them. And it also means that we've got to obsess over, are people consuming our content and using it? And if they're not, then that is an area that we want to pay attention to. So there's all kinds of things under the retention umbrella, but those are the 3 big pillars for a membership: traffic, conversion, retention. And I know that that's not sexy. And I know Karen is probably like, oh my gosh, Stu, like that sounds so simple. And I get it. I'm a fundamentals guy. And if you stick to the fundamentals, meaning you're always getting in front of the audience you want to serve, you're always making an offer that your audience wants, and you're always keeping people happy, your business and your membership business will continue to grow year over year over year.
I love it, because I think that's the thing, isn't it? Keeping it simple so that you can just like focus on the essential things that are actually going to move the needle and build that momentum and create that growth. So I actually really love what you just shared. So thank you for that. So I said we have some panelists. So I would love to bring the first one on to ask her amazing question. The first person we have is Gwendolyn, the amazing Gwendolyn. So I'm going to hand over to you. Introduce yourself, let everyone know who you are and what you do, and then ask away.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you, Carrie. Freaking love you. Okay. As per usual, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. Hi, Stu. Follow you too. So my name is Gwendolyn, and I'm the founder of the amazing Impossible to Possible Women's Sisterhood. We're crushing it with about 3,000 plus women between our Facebook group and email. And I empower female entrepreneurs that feel like they're struggling, they're feeling overwhelmed, and I help them to tell their business fears kick rock. So I know all about that business fear mindset thing. Like, yeah, all over that. So here's the question that I submitted. I said, I took the Stu masterclass in FEA, but I want to know what is his #1 most recommended way to get more women into my monthly $97 membership. I already have the freebies such as lead magnets, the 3-day free trial, free challenges, free PDFs, and etc. And I'm doing open and closed enrollment, but I'm not getting consistent enrollment in my launches. So the basic example is, for instance, I just did a 3-day challenge last week, and I got 17 ladies that joined the free 3-day challenge. I converted 2 of them into the monthly membership, and then upgraded one to the $1,200. So it was successful in my eyes.
Gwendolyn, I'm just pulling up my calculator to do some conversion metrics. I'm like, girl, that's pretty solid.
So I take that as a win, but I know that I'm destined for more greatness to help more women, and so I really would love to know your thoughts and what I can do. So bring it.
Well, I appreciate Carrie's team putting up the conversion there for me, because I had to resort to the calculator to do some So when I hear that, Gwendolyn, here's again, I come back to the fundamentals, right? So this is a perfect segue based on what we just talked about. So whenever I'm working one-on-one with a VIP client, the very first things that I'm doing is I'm asking them, what are your biggest challenges? And then based on that, in my mind, I'm asking myself, is this a traffic problem? Is this a conversion problem? Or is this a retention problem? And based on that, now we dig deeper. So when I look at your conversion's pretty decent. So I wouldn't say it's a conversion problem. Retention, we're not there yet. But what I would say is it's probably a traffic problem, because you had 17 people coming into your challenge. Imagine if you 100x'd that and you had 1,700 people come into your challenge, and then you would have 200 buyers, right? So to me, it's a traffic problem, not a conversion problem. So now we've identified, okay, it's a traffic problem. The question then becomes, what can we do to get in front of more of the targeted audience? Meaning, we need to build that list ahead of time. So this is kind of comes back to the conversations. There's all kinds of traffic strategies. I was sharing one about, collaboration with other people who are already serving the market. And one of the things that I'd highly recommend is, whatever communities that we're already in, there is all kinds of low-hanging fruit to do collaborations with each other. I know in our community, we help facilitate this because we recommend it and encourage it. And so in our community, we have a directory as an example, and we encourage people to say, yes, I'm interested in being a guest on another podcast or YouTube show or Facebook Live or Instagram Live, or I'm interested in having other people be a guest on my podcast, my show, my this, my that. And so what happens is there's all kinds of collaborations that naturally happen. So what I would encourage you to do is, first and foremost, in the next 3, 5, 6 months, is just solely focus on traffic generation. And I want you to experiment. I want you to experiment perhaps with some different collaborations where you could, offer to be of value, for other people's audiences. I want you to be bold, and I want you to, offer to collaborate with other people, reach out via direct message and say, hey, listen, I saw this question coming up in the comments of your last post a lot. I can help speak to that. Or, hey, I noticed that this is coming up in your community, and I've got a great little mini training, 10, 15 minutes. I'd be happy to share it with them. Like, I want you to proactively look for opportunities to get what you have in front of the ideal audience. Because when I look at your numbers, it's not a retention problem. It's not a conversion problem. It's a traffic problem. And so we've got to focus on getting your awesomeness in front of the right audience on a more consistent basis. You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I appreciate that so much. I 150% agree that it's definitely a traffic, because it's pretty much that same thing where it's like, I get the people. I mean, come on, that Facebook group alone. I'm like, seriously, y'all hopping into this Facebook group like I'm giving away candy or something. But then moving them to the paid part, as far as the membership, they want to hop right into private coaching, which I'm trying to decrease that and get more of the membership. So this is it. I really think it's the traffic.
It's the traffic. And I'm telling you, don't get distracted by anything else for the next, 3 to 6 months. If you focus on this and you just keep doing the same thing that you've done, you will grow the business. But you've got to solve that traffic problem. You got to have consistent traffic, right? And listen, just know that organic traffic, it does take time. Like, for example, we look at, Carrie's wonderful podcast show and YouTube Live here. Like, it has taken her time to build that audience. But this is the credit to Carrie that often gets misunderstood. She has been so stinking consistent, right? She has not missed a she's not missed a Tuesday. She's not missed a Tuesday in a long time, right? And that's my point. Like, so the reason that she has built up that momentum is because she stayed consistent. And I would love to say that, I can wave a magic wand and we're all going to be consistent. I have struggled with being consistent myself. Like, I have periods where I'm really good, and then I have periods where, like, I'm not so good. And but the reality of it is if we want to build momentum, we got to stay consistent. And I want to encourage you to build habits that are going to contribute to the business. So one habit, this is a habit that I want you to form. Could you put out 2 to 3 invitations for collaboration per day? Or if we just do one a day, and just identifying people who are in front of your audience, identifying a need that you can see their audience has, and offering to be of service. And some people are going to say yes, others are going to say no. But what'll happen is you'll start stacking the momentum. And it's forming because you've got the consistent habit of doing that outreach one a day. And if you form that habit, magic will begin to happen, and opportunities will open themselves up that I can't even see it now, but I'm holding space for you. I'm taking
the space.
Oh, Gwendolyn, thank you so much for coming on and asking your amazing question. I'm so excited for you. You're doing amazing things. I love it when your posts pop up, and I just love celebrating you and all the amazing things you're doing. So we are here cheering you on. And yeah, if you need any more help, you know where to find us. We actually have another question from Shayna, who's here, and it's kind of similar-ish. So I feel like it would be a good follow-on. So Shayna, do you want to introduce yourself and just share your question, because I think it follows along like a really similar theme but slightly different.
Yeah, and after listening to everything that you said before starting answering questions, and even before I kind of had a little bit of an answer in my head, and hearing you answered even more, but it's nice to get personalized feedback based on your situation. So, hi, I'm Shayna. I'm from Miami Beach, Florida, and my business is Love After Baby, which is to help moms connect with their partners after having kids, since I know we're all parents here, at least on this stage, and your relationship changes when kids come into the picture. So I'm a licensed therapist and certified in the Gottman's Bringing Baby Home program. So I have a membership for moms to get different strategies to connect with their partners, get coaching to work through specific issues that they're having, and it has all my courses that preceded my membership built into it. So my question is how to bounce back from what I viewed as a less than successful launch, because I do have a really big audience. I have over 100,000 followers on Instagram. I have over 6,000 people on my email list. So the launch numbers were not at all good conversion wise for me. And it's about, I'd say, founding member close to 40, which is a lot of people, and it's proof of concept. So I'm viewing that differently, that it's, proof of concept, but a lot less than I envisioned given my audience. And some confounding variables that might have affected that is I had a baby shortly before the launch. And so I was offline, and I wasn't on as much in the pre-launch period as I wanted to be. And in retrospect, I probably should have pushed it off, but I was working with a marketing agency that whatever life happens, and they have been in business for years. They worked with a lot of big mom brands, but they shut down literally around this time. And so they said they would stay on with me to launch, but I had to launch by a certain date. And maybe it wasn't the right timing, given that I just had a baby and I wasn't nurturing my audience enough before then. But because of the situation, I had to do it then or not do it with them. And I had invested a lot into it. So kind of looking at how to bounce back from that, figure out if it was just a nurturing issue, or is the membership not hitting the points that my existing community actually wants? And is it too much and overwhelming, or it's missing things they might want? figuring out what to keep in it, that it is already there, things to maybe take out. And once I do have kind of bounce back, how to have it make the most impact and have retention.
Okay, so this is Shana, this is a great question. So if you and I were sitting across from each other in Florida, and we're doing a VIP day together, and I asked you, do you think this is a traffic problem, a conversion problem, or a retention problem? What would your response be?
So mostly conversion.
Okay, so now once we've identified it's a conversion problem, now we unpack, what is impacting that conversion. So the first thing that I start with is messaging. And what that means is that oftentimes we have an offer, and if people aren't buying it, it's what we're offering is misaligned with what the market wants. So once we get alignment around the offer and what the market wants, that's when we see conversions skyrocket. So one of the things that I love to do when I'm trying to identify if an offer or when I'm trying to identify messaging that aligns with what my market wants is I do an exercise called the messaging map. Now, this is actually something I'm going to walk people through tomorrow in our free workshop. Carrie will probably share some details. But this one little process it's so simple, but it's so incredibly powerful. And I was doing this intuitively. I just never knew it. And then a couple of years ago, I started, trying to extract like what I was doing for clients now for our audience so that they could replicate it. And I'll give you the synopsis. You're going to take out a sheet of paper. And what you're going to do on the left-hand side, you're going to write now. And on the right-hand side, you're going to write future, kind of like this. I don't know if you can see that, but I got now on the left and future on the right. And I encourage everybody to do this, by the way, whenever you're making an offer. Like, this is an exercise you 100% want to do. I do this every single time I'm about to go into any promotion or launch or make an offer. And then once you've got this T-chart with now on the left and future on the right, what I start to do is I start to list single words or short phrases that describe what my market is thinking, feeling, and doing right now. So let's think about your moms. This will be an interactive part. So Shana, if I were to ask you, like, what's going through the minds of your moms right now? I don't want you to think, I just want you to give me single words. Like, how would you describe what they're
feeling? Frustrated, disconnected, isolated, lonely, unsupported, unloved, or like the love is not felt as much.
Uncertain, yeah. What? Okay. And so along that, how is that making them feel? Again, try to just single words, short phrases. How are they feeling?
Lonely, upset, confused, scared, worried about the future. I love the word that you said, uncertain, because a lot of times people wonder, did we fall out of love with our partner, or are we going to make it? Should we get divorced? And a lot of times people jump to that, even though that's not the solution to their problem, but it's, they're feeling really frustrated by the situation that's going on.
I'm loving this. And I'm just, I'm coming down because I'm going to start writing some of this down here in a second. Have you been writing these words down, Shana? Because I want you to,
I'm going to have to reference the recording of this once.
Okay. Posts. All right. Here's what we'll do. I'm going to write some of these down for us. So you said, let me see here. Uncertain,
frustrated, lonely, unsupported, unloved, resentful.
Scared, you said.
Resentful is a big one.
Confused. Oh, resentful. That's a powerful word. Resentful. And then how would you describe, like, what are they doing right now?
They make lists in their head of the reasons they're frustrated for. They bicker with their partners. They don't communicate well. Something they're not doing, I don't know if that's considered like under the doing column, but they're not connecting with their partners.
Yep. And would you say like the conversation's always about like the baby, and is always about like
yeah, that is something I hit on a lot. Like when I post on my page posts that are like conversation starters that have nothing to do with the kids, people love those, because very often as parents, when we sit down, we're like, oh my God, our kid did this really cute thing today, or, you know, just naturally
it's all about the baby, right? Like,
or it becomes about logistics in the house.
Right. Okay, this is great. Now, on the right-hand side, I want you to do the same thing. What words would you use to describe the perfect scenario after coming through your training, right? So let's fast forward. Now they've gotten the outcome and result. Talk to me about like what words would you use to describe what they're thinking?
So they're thinking that they have a really great partnership. They're supported. There's balance in their home. They love seeing their partner. They're thinking that life's pretty great and their family life is wonderful.
They're probably feeling grateful.
Yeah.
Would you say that?
They're feeling grateful. They're feeling loved. They're feeling supported. The opposite of the things they weren't.
Yeah.
They're feeling like a team.
Mm.
So even though there are still frustrations that come up, they communicated about it differently. So that's the team part.
Yeah. Okay. And then what are they doing differently?
They're communicating better. They're having check-ins with each other to see like what's going well in their relationship, what things need to be worked on. One thing that I teach my audience is to do a weekly check-in with each other to talk about those things, because otherwise we end up bringing up frustrations and inconvenient moments. And when we're already upset, which doesn't end up leading to any positive change or result. So that's one thing they're doing. They're prioritizing date night and figuring out how to work that into their life, even with the busy schedule, routine, and logistics of having a baby. So they have learned how to improvise and have at-home date nights and have meaningful moments of connection. They are connecting, you know, physically as well. A lot of moms come in feeling, on the before chart, they feel touched out because they're so overwhelmed from all the sensory input of like holding the baby, feeding the baby, answering their bigger kids' questions, carrying things around, all this noise and everything. So here they're able to physically connect and even want to physically connect because they're not feeling touched out in the same way. And because they're feeling loved and supported. For women, wanting to connect in a physical way is very often preceded by feeling connected emotionally. So this, changes the whole dynamic in their relationship once they're on the after side.
Okay. This is amazing. Now I want you to look at the incredible copy that you have created in just doing this simple exercise. I'm going to reflect back to you what I heard you say. And what I want you to see is how the contrast between these two worlds is what creates the magnetic messaging as to why people will want to work with you. It's not about the stuff. This is for you and for everybody watching and listening. So often when our messaging is struggling and our conversions are struggling, it's because we're emphasizing the stuff, the things they get. People don't want stuff. They want outcomes. They want results. And so watch what happens when we contrast these two worlds, okay? I'm just going to read what you shared with me. Perhaps you're a mom who has just recently had a baby and your relationship with your significant other is struggling. You're feeling uncertain about the relationship itself because you're not feeling loved, you're not feeling supported, and it's confusing because you had a great relationship before the baby. And the thoughts running through your head are, have we made a mistake? And it's frustrating. And you almost feel resentful of the situation And in your mind, you're constantly making lists of all the things that were once okay and now are not. You're constantly bickering with your partner over all kinds of little things. The communication is terrible, and there's zero connection between the two of you. But the good news is that even though you've just had a baby, there is 100% the opportunity to connect on an even deeper level with your significant other with the right strategy. Meaning you can have a really great partnership, have balance in the home, and have a really great family life where you're feeling grateful, you're feeling loved and supported, you're feeling like a team because there's great open communication with weekly check-ins, date nights where you're actually having fun, even if the date night is at home, and there's meaningful connection there, and also a tremendously powerful relationship, both emotionally and physically. That's possible with the right strategy. Now, time out. Do you see how I haven't even talked about anything they get in the membership of the course or whatever. I'm just contrasting those two worlds. But when you contrast those two worlds and you're specific about the words that you're using to describe what they're thinking, feeling, and doing now, and you're contrasting that to what the future is, people in seeing that are like, that's me. That's exactly what's happening. And there's like, they're not connecting up here. They're connecting right here. And this is the thing that pulls people in. And now they're open to anything that you have to offer because what you're offering is the bridge between those two worlds. Now, here's the fun part about this. I did nothing special. I was just reading the words that you told me back to you. I just threaded them together. Right. And that's why I said your copy is so powerful when you list this out. And this is a simple exercise that anybody can do. And I highly recommend you do it before every single offer you make. Because when you make an offer, the most important thing to do to increase conversions is create contrast between those two worlds. The world that they're in now, and you want to use specific words that really that they can relate to. And in their minds, either consciously or subconsciously, they're saying, yes, that's me. That's exactly what I'm thinking. That's what I'm feeling. That's exactly what's happening. And then you contrast the future world, which is the world that you're going to help them get to. And that's what they desire. And the bridge between those worlds is your offer. And the funny thing about it is you very rarely have to go into grand detail about the offer that you're making, other than there's a strategy, there's a plan, there's a process to get you from this world to that world. And that's what people will buy.
Right. And because I was working with a marketing team, we did a lot of that like before and after, but they're more bullet points. So like go from feeling frustrated to blah, blah, blah. And I think, I know that Storycell, everybody who owns a business and has done any little smidge of marketing research knows Storycell. The way you painted it was more of a story as opposed to bullet points. And I think that that has a different way that it clicks in somebody's head.
Yeah. And I would just say like, and it's a good lesson for everybody, you got to loosen up, got to get rid of the robotic marketing and just connect with people. And this exercise is a really great way to do that.
So powerful. Shayna, thank you so much for that amazing question. I have to point out these comments. I love these. Holy crap, this is amazing. Wow, Stu. This was mind-blowing. Stu for president. That's my favorite. Such amazing comments. Thank you. That was absolutely brilliant. Do you have time for one more person who has she's got a really different question? And I think
do. Let me just double check. I think, yes, I've got 20 more minutes, so we're good.
Okay. Rachel, do you want to ask your amazing question? This is a completely different question, but I think it'll be really interesting for people who might be thinking this. So Rachel, go for it.
Hi, I'm Rachel. I am a dog trainer based in Kent in the UK. I've had a really successful in-person business for the last 12 years, but I'm just trying to pivot online. So my membership is quite new. So I have a membership specifically for reactive dogs. So my question is, going forward, should my membership be a front end membership or a back end, or can it actually be both? And also, is driving traffic to an evergreen webinar a better way to get members in than big launches?
Okay, I'm just writing this down. Front end,
Okay.
back end, both, and then evergreen. Okay, first off, Rachel, whereabouts in Kent are you from?
So I live in Sittingbourne, grew up in Maidstone, so yeah, near London.
Oh my gosh, okay. Girl, listen, I was born in Gravesend, Kent, and
No way.
yes, so that's why I was asking. I'm like, oh my gosh. So yes, okay. So let's talk about front end, back end memberships. Okay. What I don't want you do, Rachel, what I don't want you doing is I don't want you getting your knickers in a twist and not moving forward because you can't decide whether it should be a front end membership or a back end membership. Either way, you can move forward with either option, and you always have the flexibility to be able to change and rearrange things. So for everybody watching and listening, if we're not familiar with front end and back end terminology, let me just explain it. A front end membership is more of an introductory membership, and the purpose of it is to help people begin experiencing progress. So in Rachel's case, it would be begin helping her clients experience progress with their dogs so that they're less reactive, right? Now, a back-end membership typically comes after somebody has gone through a course, or perhaps somebody has, invested in coaching with us. And the purpose of the back-end membership is to help people implement the things that they have learned in the course or in the coaching. So if I were to throw this back to you, Rachel, I would ask, do you have a back-end offer like a course or coaching that you are providing? Because if so, then it might make a great front-end membership that moves people into then wanting your courses and your coaching. Or if you are the coaching and the courses are your front end, you could easily make this membership a back end where you're now supporting those people in the implementation of what they have learned in those programs. So I would want to know a little bit more about your business structure first. Are you offering anything else other than the membership?
Yeah, so the membership is fairly new, and it's quite a small part of what I do. I have a signature program that's in person, that's quite intense, sort of 3 to 6 months. And I have said to people when they finish that to then come into the membership. And then my existing members in the membership, I've done through 5-day challenges. So I've done 3 launches since July last year of doing the 5-day challenges just to get people in the door that way.
Yeah. Okay. So what I would probably recommend based on what you just said is it's probably going to be a front end membership. The reason being because your back end offer, it sounds like it's more localized, where your front end membership is going to give you the opportunity to be able to reach people worldwide. So given that, I would just focus on, again, getting traffic and then making the offer for your front end membership. And there will be a percentage of those people who will want to come join you for your in-person stuff. But just know that the front end membership is going to give you the ability to reach a much broader audience than your local area. Although I think everybody in Kent should go see Rachel and go get, train their dogs through Rachel. Okay. Now, with that said, you asked about Evergreen. Now, what I will say about Evergreen is it's typically not a strategy that I recommend until much later when your membership has a lot more members. And the reason being is that Evergreen 100% is a very effective strategy, but it takes time and money to really dial it in, because essentially an Evergreen strategy is Facebook ads to some webinar. On the webinar, we then offer our membership. But we've got to have a whole lot of things dialed in before we start pouring in a whole bunch of money into ads, because otherwise we're going to be spending money on ads and they're not going to be attracting the audience that we want, and they're not going to be perfect fit when we make the offer. And that means we're going to be wasting a lot of money. So this is why I typically don't recommend it until further on down the road, so to speak, once all those things are dialed in. So my recommendation, Rachel, is, again, I would focus in on traffic. How can you get what you have in front of more targeted people? There's a lot of opportunity to get in front of audiences that are training dogs. We've got many people in our communities that do the same. And so I would just look for collaboration opportunities, focus on the traffic, make your membership a front end, and away you go.
Oh, I love that. Rachel, thank you so much for coming and asking your question. And Stu, thank you so much for staying and answering it. You mentioned this before, and I really want to make sure everyone here knows about this. So once a year, Stu hosts these amazing free membership workshops. They are coming up. The first one starts tomorrow. So if you are wanting to start a membership, if you're wanting to grow your membership, if you just want to know about anything to do with memberships, then you absolutely have to join him for the workshops. Like you have just seen here, he pours in so much blooming value. So you're going to learn so much from them. So it's if you go to fea.link/Stu, it'll take you over to Stu's affiliate. Stu's page is an affiliate link, by the way. Although it is it's completely free. But Stu has helped me so much throughout my journey of building a membership site. He is my number one recommended go-to when it comes to memberships. And that is why I wanted to bring him to you here so that you can learn from him. And like, I hope I know you have experienced it here. I mean, someone even said you should be president. So I feel like you deliver so much value. I mean, I know that, but like firsthand. So I'm so excited for everyone to go and soak up all of the value that you're going to pour into those workshops. Like that, do you want to tell everyone what you're going to go through in those 3 workshops?
Yeah, thanks, Carrie. Yes. So listen, if you maybe have an idea for a membership, but it's a bit fuzzy and you're not quite sure like what you're going to provide or how it's going to roll out, I want you to come to this workshop. If you already have a membership, you 100% should come to this workshop, because one idea will immediately give you a ton of things to tweak that will have a significant impact on your membership. And even if you don't have any idea whatsoever, but you like the idea of having a membership, I want you to come to the free workshop. It all starts tomorrow. The whole goal is real simple. We're going to walk you through a variety of different teachings and exercises and so forth to help you get clarity around who you serve, how you help, what you might do in terms of structuring the membership. And here's the crazy part, Carrie. We are actually going to walk people through launching their membership during the free workshop. Now, I know that sounds crazy to a lot of people here, but you've heard me say over and over again that I am a big believer in the fundamentals and keeping it super simple. And my goal is that you build massive momentum during the free workshop. And yesterday, I was speaking in front of another audience, and I asked them, I said, how many of you would be willing to commit to doing a founding member launch during the free workshop? And in real time, we had a whole lot of people who committed. And I'm just going to put the challenge out there. Like, if you're willing to commit to doing a founding member launch, I'll walk you through the whole process. I want you to declare it now, because so much of this process is mentally preparing for you, not only getting out of your comfort zone, but doing the things that you know you should be doing and getting out of your own way and getting into action and motion and making it happen. And that's exactly what we'll do. Yesterday, I spoke with 3 women from our community who all did their founding member launch during the free workshop last year. And one of them, Jess, she was sharing how, she had no idea how her audience would respond, but she just followed, the steps that we outlined during the free workshop. She put it out there. She ended up welcoming just shy of 180 founding members. It created massive momentum. Somebody did the math yesterday during the call. They're like, wait a minute, that's $5,400 a month that she was generating from her membership, from her founding member launch. I was like, I know. And, translation, that's over $60,000 a year from a founding member launch. And that happens during this free workshop. And I'll just say this. The reason that you'll want to come and join us live, it is a live workshop, is there is this magnetic energy that gets created when we are there live, implementing live. It's like the difference between, I know in the UK, I'll use UK terminology. It's like watching Manchester United versus Liverpool. And if you're a Man U fan, and you're there in the stadium watching, that's a totally different experience than if you were watching it on the television. And that's the difference in energy in being there live with us versus watching a replay after the fact. So when you come live, you'll get swept up in the momentum of it all. You'll experience way more progress. And that's my whole goal, is tomorrow that we start this process and you experience massive momentum, and not only getting clarity around what your membership could look like, but getting it off the ground and generating sales. How amazing is that going to feel?
So amazing. And we've got loads of people in the comments saying that they are up for it. I do declare, I will do it. Yes, I will. Yes.
That's amazing. I can't wait. We're going to make it happen. And I just want to encourage everybody to make sure you share with me as you're going through this process, because I want to see it. I want to cheer you on. I want to encourage you and all the things.
Yeah, I would say, do Stu's challenge. Literally take him up on his challenge to just go for it and do it, because you just imagine where you could be, what progress you could make, the ahas, the opportunities, the ideas that might pop up if you just go all in with this. It's incredible. So yes, you can go to fea.link/Stu. It will give you all the details. You can sign up for his free workshops. Do it if you want to build a membership site. Stu, thank you so blooming much for coming and being the first guest on the She Means Business Show live. It's been so amazing having you here. You pour so much value into everything, and you're just incredible. And can everyone just give Stu some love, please, in the chat? And you can't see the chat, but you can see this one. So drop some hearts.
I appreciate you, Carrie. Thank you so much. I'm honored. I'm honored to be the first guest. This is like, I'm going to put this in like my career resume, so to speak. Like this is, I appreciate it, buddy. Listen, one of the things that I love and appreciate about you, and I know your audience knows this, but you're just so stinking committed to your people. And this is one of the reasons why you have just experienced so much success over such a long period of time. And there's so much that everybody watching and listening can learn from you in the way in which you show up for your people. So kudos to you for celebrating 10 years. Oh my gosh, in your membership. That is amazing. And it's a testament to the way in which you show up for your people. So Carrie, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you.
Thank you. And thank you all so much for joining for this live episode. It'll be going up on the podcast, so you can check it out. We'll send you an email for the replay as well. And don't forget to keep your eyes peeled for the next one. I'm very excited for it. So I'll be sending the details soon. Stu, thank you so much. Go sign up for the workshops. I'll be there. So hopefully I will see you there too. Bye, everyone.
See you later, everyone.
Life is too short to be boring. Too short to live the same year twice. Too precious not to go after your dreams and live the life that you want. So the question is, what are you going to do about it?